It's 6:02.
Okay, welcome, council members, to our November 3rd meeting. Hope you're all doing well. We will call to order. It looks like everybody's here. We don't need to make any introductions and announcements. I don't think we have Travis on board from the county. He knows us all, doesn't he? Yeah, okay. Sheriff Matt Kendall's there. He knows us all. So we'll keep going here. Actually, I should call the resolution of the Molalla Municipal Advisory Council authorizing remote teleconference meetings of the legislative bodies of the Molalla Municipal Advisory Council. I should take a vote on that first. So, you know, and I don't see us changing this. We did discuss this briefly back when, and I don't see us changing this, heck, Kevin, too near in the future with, I don't know, this ongoing COVID relapse or whatever it is. And then, you know, winter approaching and all that. So I don't know, to answer that question that we had back when a couple of meetings ago or whatever, I say we just keep going the way we are for the time being. What do you all think?
It needs to be moved and seconded and approved though monthly by mandate of
Right,
the
which I'm gonna
Board of Supervisors. So
yeah, I'm gonna do now. I just got sidetracked there with that
Right.
whole question that we had back when. Okay, well then I'll take a vote. Melissa,
I make a motion
or a
that
vote,
we
a motion. yeah.
accept it.
Okay, adopt the resolution. A second,
I'll second.
Henry, a second. Okay, now we'll vote. Okay, Melissa,
Aye.
Henry,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
and Robert. Aye. So now we get into introductions and announcements. How you been doing, Dan?
I'm fine.
Okay, good. And Mary's doing good. Okay, well, a consent agenda. Approval of our minutes from October 6th. Those were the action minutes again. Do we have a motion on that?
Move to approve.
Okay, that's Dan. Second.
Second.
Okay, Kevin. Let's vote on that. Melissa?
Aye.
Well, Henry, you weren't there.
Abstain.
Okay, Dan,
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Robert, I'm an aye. So we've got 4 ayes, I think, Mary. Was it 4?
yes,
5 ayes and 1
5
abstain.
ayes and 1 abstention. Yes, sir.
Okay. On correspondence, next item on the agenda, you probably received additional Molalla community surveys, right, Mary?
I have not received any lately. No, sir, I have not. I'm
Okay.
hoping that they have come in by email, and that's why I said that we had received various ones. We might have had 1, we might have had 5. I don't know. I don't receive them by email.
Okay, so Kevin will give us a report on that when we get down to that, I guess. Okay.
Yes.
Our agenda as it stands, could somebody make a motion to approve our agenda for this evening?
I'll go ahead and move the agenda as presented.
Okay, second on that? Second from Dan. Let's vote on that. Melissa,
Aye.
Henry,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
and Robert. Aye. Okay, we got an agenda to go by here. So, anybody in the audience, any public input on non-agenda items tonight?
Oh,
No, hearing none, we'll go on.
oh,
to,
I do. I
You
do.
do? On a non-agenda item?
Non-agenda item, yes, sir.
Okay, Mary. As a
I
citizen.
want to urge everyone, if you have not gotten your ballot into the register of voters, please, please vote by Tuesday. And if you put it into the mail, stand in line and have it dated with the stamp. And that it's paid for by the county, but you can't prove you put it in there unless you put the stamp of the date on it, and they can do it in line. Or bring it down to the precincts. I'm the head of both precincts 07 and 08 down at the community center. So I'd be happy to take any ballot that you want. You may fill it in back there. You can turn in the ballot if you don't want it that was mailed to you and get a new one and vote that way. But please, please, I urge you to vote. Everyone who's tuning in to see this after we have the meeting, please, I want to hear your voice. And so does everybody else in this state and the nation.
And Mary, people can also vote early by dropping their ballots off at the Point Arena ballot box, right?
Yes, right in front of the Veterans Hall, and they pick those up every single day and get them into the county.
So
And,
vote early.
well, yes, but don't vote often.
I mailed in my ballot last week and it's already made it in and been counted as accepted.
Yes, and I have a list of everyone who has already voted. In case you come in and you have forgotten that you voted, I can look at that list and say, oh yes, and it has been received. Thank you.
Well,
Thank
great,
you,
Mary.
Robert. Thank you very much.
Thanks for that non-agenda item. That was very important. Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else on public input on non-agenda items? Okay, why don't we drop right down to Sheriff Matt Kendall's report? Hello, Matt.
Hello, Robert. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me this evening.
Okay.
JD is not in this evening. He had some things to attend to. I just got back. Had to run over to Butte County and pick up some equipment for the sheriff's office that the Butte County sheriff was kind enough to loan to me. Anyway, calls for service are down, which is an excellent thing for us right now. One of the reasons why the calls for service are down is because JD has had, and I'm sure that you've seen them, a lot of patrol cars on the South Coast lately. The more patrols that we have, the less calls that we seem to have because we are a visual deterrent. Just a few things. We did have some kind of standard calls. We handled a couple of 5150s down on the South Coast. We handled, and I'm trying to rattle this off from memory based on what JD told me. And so I'm in my 50s now. Some of the things that I put in my head, I'm often afraid are going to displace something that's really important. We had very few felonious calls. We had a couple of investigations. We had a couple of domestic incidents. But all in all, things have been, and I'm knocking on wood, may I say, quiet down there. We are getting some weather over in, I was up in Covelo yesterday, and on the way out, there was just enough cold rain and whatnot that when I got up at the higher elevations, I hit a little ice. Please, everybody remember to drive safely. I want to applaud Mary for reminding everybody to vote. And then I also wanted to put just a little plug out there for our local media. This year, we did really well on a lot of different emergencies and disasters, from that fire on Bill Owens Road, which could have been a heck of a lot worse than what it turned out to be. And some fires around here in the Ukiah-Willits area. But our local media has been a really, really good partner helping us get the information out. KGUA, KYBU, and Covelo, all of these folks, they're doing a real service for us. And so let's make sure that when we run into them, we let them know how much we appreciate it. And it's print media, it's the local radio stations. And honestly, I hate to say this, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. I turned on the news last night and I can't watch the national news anymore. I just can't. It's just making me sick. There is something going on in the national news that tells us to stop trusting our system. And when they get us to do that, then by golly, we'll all become tribal And I don't know who that's serving, but it certainly is in our communities. And our local media just does not do that. The local media does a couple of things for us. They help me rejoice when I do a really good job. They hold my feet to the fire when I make mistakes, and that helps me to not repeat those mistakes. These are not evil people. These are good people. And KZYX, all of these radio stations that are constantly looking out for our residents, giving us weather updates, telling us about the problems. It's saving people from going out and getting themselves into a bad situation. And it's lessening the load for all of our emergency medical services and first responders when they do that. Anyway, I'm going to write something up on a Facebook post telling them thank you, because I think that all of us did a good job this year. It's community members, it's first responders, but it's also that local media that's helping us. And so if we can patronize them, let's do it. I donate to the radio stations because Lord knows they're helping us out. So does
Don't all
anybody?
hang together. We're gonna hang separately.
Amen. Anybody got any questions for me?
Sheriff,
What's the 5150?
go ahead.
5150? It's the Welfare and Institutions Code when a person goes into a mental health crisis. And it's very specific. You have to be a danger to yourself, danger to others, or gravely disabled. And then, you know, we had one young man who, he wasn't 5150. He wasn't quite right. We were able to get him some services, and he's doing just fine right now.
So running around naked and screaming in your front yard isn't quite a 5150?
That would be, yeah, that would be a 5150, because believe it or not, that falls in that gravely disabled, because something bad is going to happen to that person, you know?
Sheriff, I have a question.
Yeah, Dan.
Have you seen any uptick in rental scams? I had a neighbor up the street here who is deployed military, and somebody tried to rent out her house.
That was going on, was it the roughly 09, 2010 and 11? That was going on a lot in the Brook Trails area, because we had a lot of houses that were being foreclosed on, and people were renting them out because the bank actually owned the home and nobody had been there for 3 months.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was banks in Los Angeles, it was banks in San Francisco, nobody was there. And so we had people, you know, the bank shows up and they want to show this house. Well, by golly, there's somebody living in it, and they'd been there for 6 months. So we saw that quite a bit, you know, 10, 12 years ago. We have not seen it much lately. We are seeing some package thefts and things like that starting up again in Ukiah. We haven't seen that much on the South Coast.
I didn't know if it was a growing thing down here or what.
Yeah.
And I think deployed military are protected by that federal law too, but
They are.
active service. Thank you.
Hey, Sheriff, I've got a question.
Yeah, Keith or Kevin.
We've had a few incidents on Highway 1 where we've had some fairly serious vehicle accidents. And I'm wondering, have your deputies kind of noticed an increase in speeding, or what's happening?
Okay, so as soon as the COVID restrictions began lifting, I began seeing a lot of young people in what I call the Zoom cars, and they were going out our more beautiful highways, Highway 253, Highway 128. I was stopping them left and right for a while there because I drive an unmarked white pickup truck, and everybody who passes me on a double yellow gets to meet me. And almost all of these folks were out of the Bay Area. And for some reason, these young folks with their Zoom cars, they really enjoy the redwoods. They really enjoy our coastal highway. And, you know, their speeds are not safe to begin with, but put a little moisture on the road, get a foggy afternoon. And these kids don't understand that even though it's not raining, that road is wet because of the fog. Well, the road, it wasn't raining. Well, you know, stand out in the fog for an hour and you're soaked just like you've been in a downpour. But the highway patrol, they're suffering for manpower out of the Ukiah office, which runs the coast. Now, Where we're doing okay with the highway patrol is Tammy McCandless up in Garberville that runs the north end of Mendocino County. She was able to get some new recruits out of the Highway Patrol Academy. So I think Ukiah is going to be next, and hopefully we'll see some more CHP officers on the South Coast. We've got that one young man who's down there quite a bit, but he can't cover both ends of the week 24/7.
Right.
But I'm telling you, on a long weekend,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot believe the number of vehicles that are coming out of the Bay Area. And I don't know how these kids can afford them. I don't know if I could pay for the gas to drive from San Francisco here in one of those cars that probably burns a lot more than my little pickup.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Well, thank you for what you guys are doing, because yeah, we definitely are noticing their tire marks and stuff, that they're loving to do donuts and everything else in our streets. So
Yeah, and it's quite a phenomenon in the Covelo area. Not so much in Willits right now, but it's the out of the way places where these young folks show up. And it seems like, well, they're probably going there for the exact same reasons that we like to, because it's beautiful. I mean, it is. But they're going to these places that don't have a lot of services. And one of the things that concerns me is that with EMS, with first responders being really kind of on the wire of what we can handle, please don't give us more than what we can handle.
right. Good point. Thank you.
Slow down when it's raining and turn on your lights when you have your wipers on.
Yeah. Yeah, if your windshield wipers are on, your lights should be on.
Absolutely.
That's the law,
Arguably,
isn't it?
your lights should just be on all the time, probably.
Yeah.
Well, I've got one of those
Yeah,
pickup
couldn't
trucks
agree
that turns them on for me.
Yeah.
And I never turn my lights on because my truck turns it on for me. And my battery doesn't go dead because when I turn it off, the lights turn off for me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions?
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Sheriff.
You guys have a good, safe evening.
Okay.
You too.
Thank you, sir. Enjoy your
Thanks,
dinner.
Thank you, Sheriff.
I'm going to enjoy my supper.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Lord knows I don't want to lose any weight, so I've got to get home and see my beautiful wife.
Yeah.
Don't want to lose your wife either.
I'd really get skinny if I lost her. I'd be eating my own cooking again. I'd be what I looked like in my 20s.
Uh-oh.
There you go.
We'll see you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
see you,
Good night.
man. Okay, moving right along. Council matters, old business, if any.
What about Travis?
Well, Travis, is he law enforcement? Code enforcement? Sure, good idea. Let's have Travis. Anything, anything to tell us, Travis?
There's not a whole lot. Mostly, we're just working on various plans for the county, updating them with the disaster recovery office. We don't really have any events or anything upcoming at the moment. So, no, I'm really just here to listen and see what's up with the council and what you guys are talking about, and seeing if there are ways we might be able to plug in on any of it. So I'm mostly just an observer.
Okay.
Is Travis's
Travis,
audio
there's a
weird
real
for everyone
problem
else?
with your sound.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh,
bad connection.
sorry about that.
Static.
I mean, I at least can understand you. It's not, it doesn't come through great, but if you're not sure what the problem is, then I wouldn't worry too
Yeah.
much about it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's wrong with it. I'll have to mess with it, but I don't really have anything like specifically to share, so you can move on. unless you have
Okay,
questions.
Travis. We'll see you next month, huh?
Thanks, Travis.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thanks, Travis.
so, should we go on then to old business if we have any? Anybody? Well, then let's move on to the Wallala Services Committee. Kevin usually starts us off on that.
Not much to report unless Henry can weave his magic and put up the charts, but we've got 73 responses to date.
Okay.
We're going to make another push, both in the public. on the websites to see if we can get more responses. Very informative. And I really appreciate all that the community has done to respond to our surveys to date. And we'll keep moving forward. Robert or Dan, do you have anything to add?
I pretty much have a folder now with the about 10 surveys in it, and I'm handing it out to whoever I can when they come by my office, since I'm kind of centrally located. So I'm, stepping it up a little bit, Kevin.
Okay. Well, we've had RCRC, Beverly Flynn was nice enough to send out the question, or at least introduce the questionnaire to her membership, and indicated that they could do it online. I've got a couple other groups that I'm going to try and meet with to give them more information on what we're doing and the community survey, but the response has been good. And we have a county supervisor and LAFCO that are really interested in the findings when we finally put them together.
And we're still looking at about 100 of them before the end of the year, right?
That would be the goal, is if we can get 100, I think we can put together a pretty concise report for the council that can be forwarded to LAFCO and the Board of Supervisors.
Is there any way I could get about 20 copies of that?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Because I'm a member of the local quilt guild, and we meet the third Thursday of the month, and I could hand it out there and ask them to fill it out.
Okay, Melissa, what I will do is print them, and then I will send you an email and deliver them to you.
That sounds good.
Thank you for that.
Certainly.
And I believe there were, I think there were 50 when I updated it before the last meeting. And we've gotten 24 more since then. Or I guess maybe there were 49 and we've gotten 24 more.
Yeah.
So I have updated the charts. I could show them if people want me to.
If you can, that would be awesome, because I think people would get a real sense of what the public's responses have been. Robert, I leave it up to you and the council if they'd like to see them.
I'd love to see it. I've never seen the charts or seen how you've done that, Henry.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I can't say the charts are my my finest work, but they do exist, and I'm happy to show them. So let's see.
It's a good representation of the responses.
Okay. Let me see if this will work. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay. All right, so that's that's the just where people live. There's, do you pay taxes? We had one person who said no. Everybody else, yes, they pay taxes. Do you feel the taxes you pay should adequately fund maintenance of Bower Park, sport, fire, ambulance? Looks like we probably had one person say, or two people maybe say no opinion. Well, I guess that's like, oh yeah, and then 7 people say no, they don't think the taxes should adequately fund that, and 63 said yes, they do. How effective is your county board of supervisors in meeting the needs of you, your family, or coastal community? 7 effective, 14 no opinion, 52 not effective. Feel free to let me know if you want me to slow down. How effective are your local boards, GMAC, Sea Ranch Association, etc.? I can't remember the exact wording of the end of that, but in representing you. 19 effective, 20 no opinion, 34 not effective.
Interesting.
So we're local board's doing a little better than Board of Supervisors, but still not exactly stellar mark.
Hmm.
Then on to number 7. Are you concerned about the current state of the infrastructure and services in your community, parks, roads, broadband? I don't remember the exact wording at the end of that either. Sorry, it gets some of them are a little long for the charts. I can pull it up if anybody needs it. But
Many
you get the
people
idea.
may not have any chance to work with GMAC. So, they might say, no, we're not effective, or you're not effective, because they don't have a chance to work with you. So they don't know what you do.
And I mean, in general, if you're dissatisfied with the state of public services, then my inclination would be to say nothing's effective. So I'm not exactly shocked at the result.
Yeah, Henry, let me also go ahead and add the other. It's water, sewer, fire protection, medical, and support for your local businesses is the remainder of that question.
Okay. So overwhelmingly, yes, people are concerned.
Yes.
Number 8, are you willing or able to pay more taxes, assessments, or fees that would stay locally to improve the level of services? And again, I don't remember the exact.
And infrastructure in your community.
Thank you. So that's sort of a rubber meets the road question. And it's 2 out of 3 people saying yes, 30% no, 4% no opinion. Would you support creating a more local government in your coastal community if it returns a portion of the tax dollars you pay? Kevin, mind finishing that out for me?
To support Bower Park, safety services, and the infrastructure.
And 80% yes, 12% no, 7% no opinion.
Oh, those last.
Okay, move
two are
on.
interesting. Yeah.
And then the last one is just, are you a registered voter in Mendocino or Sonoma? 86% yes, 13% no.
I want to get a hold of those 10 people and get them registered.
Yeah, although I mean, some of them may be registered elsewhere.
Yeah.
Very true.
Or underage.
Second homes here or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want everybody to vote.
So long as they're registered, that's
Yes,
fine.
And if they are eligible to vote, I want them registered and voting.
Yes, I agree with that.
I'd love to have a fine against people who don't vote. Maybe we get more people to the polls.
I think
like they do in Australia.
But yeah, and I think Brazil does that too.
Yeah, Brazil
even
does
if
that.
you are
Yeah, it's only like $2 or $3 in Australia, but boy, do they get out the turnout. Nobody wants to pay the government $3 or $4 because they didn't bother to go to the polls. So they'll drive 90 miles to get over there to cast a vote. I think that's great.
So
I wonder how
Henry,
many of those people who
Henry
didn't-
and Kevin.
weren't registered are not citizens.
also possible.
Maybe
Yeah.
those 10 aren't citizens. That could easily be.
Henry and Kevin,
Hmm.
and I would just wanted to say something about last month. Kevin gave us a great presentation on where we stood at that point in time. I think it was 57 votes or whatever, and it was kind of a verbal presentation. So I just wanted to say that seeing this visually makes an impression, and the combination of the two, verbally communicating the results of the tally on the survey and then visually doing this is I think a great service and a great tool.
Great.
Thank you. And I think another thing that I'll work with Henry on will be trying to consolidate all of the responses. It's interesting what people have felt are important in our community and what we're lacking. And one I will just share is that there's been a lot of people that have commented that they would like to see a public bathroom in downtown Wallala. That we have a lot of people that are walking around using, going to our shops and businesses, but they don't have a place to go to the bathroom.
Mhm.
It's true. Puerto
And
Rico
Yeah,
should
Sunster
have that.
Mall has taken to locking their restroom.
Yeah, a lot of the businesses have done that. They've, Sunstrom Mall basically
Yeah.
has limited access to their restroom as well. So yes, public restrooms are not readily available.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I will say that the problem on that, I mean, there's the obviously building the facility is, you know, it's, I don't know if it's trivial, but it's not exactly rocket science. But when you say, you know, Point Arena has them, it's much better to have them than not. I would not say those bathrooms are necessarily that well maintained and upkept. So if you're going to have public restrooms, you also, you know, and I mean, part of it is on us as a society. I have been to places where there's not a lot of maintenance done on public restrooms, and the public restrooms are in good shape anyway because people take responsibility for themselves. But the fact is, you know, as you see in Point Arena, if nobody's cleaning it up, those bathrooms get pretty out of whack pretty quickly.
Right.
So if we were to have a public restroom, we would need some level of maintenance on it, and I wouldn't necessarily see the county doing all that much in that
No.
regard. It's hard enough to get them to take care of things they already have.
Also, it's dangerous sometimes for a woman. I know that Point Arena has had 2 rapes happen in that bathroom for women.
Oh my God.
Well,
Hmm.
one was a high school girl and the other one was an not older, but like 20, 25, 30 years old lady. So,
God.
and that's only the ones I know of that have been reported. But it needs to be well lighted, and the men's and women's need to be on the opposite side. And, you know, as you said, maintenance, etc. But Point Arena has proved at times dangerous.
Yeah.
It tends to be a little bit of a hangout there, and it's not always the most, I don't know,
Inviting.
some really interesting characters are hanging out there. What I've noticed since the COVID time started in Wallala is that a lot of the merchants and business people in the downtown core here have, you know, we were used to have our bathrooms open or restrooms open all the time for anybody and everyone. But we've resorted more to handing out the key when there's emergent need by a visitor or a local, you know. That's how we kind of practice it now, because there was too many times where it was just in disarray if we left it open all the time. So
Yeah.
I get the feeling a lot of more of the merchants, even the gas stations, are starting to do it that way, I thought, and Sunstrom Mall and whoever else. So that's kind of a sign of the times, but maybe and when it comes to a public restroom in Wallala, I know that part of the talk years ago was that somehow, along with the lighting aspect of the streetscape plan, there would be some kind of a restroom incorporated somehow down at the south end, kind of halfway over the bank a little bit or something like that. You see how they do it in Jenner, and then that one stays pretty clean all the time. So that'd be something that would be well needed in Wallala, I think.
Yeah,
Public-
that was
Yeah.
maintained by the state, Robert.
What's that?
The one in Jenner is maintained by the state.
Okay, state,
Harbors and navigation people.
right.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
I would have
That
thought
makes sense.
Caltrans, but that's interesting. They do have a boat launch there, so yes, I can see how.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's
Yes.
through that program. Okay, Dan, thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Yeah,
Parks and Rec for some reason.
I just want to say, by the way, I'm very much in favor of the idea. I just think the maintenance question would have to get sorted out, but I don't want to give the impression that I think it's a bad idea. I think it would be a great idea. I think it would, you know, again, we're a community that in a lot of ways caters to visitors, and that is, you know, you shouldn't need to go in and, you know, ask a merchant to let you in to be able to use facilities when you visit.
Mhm. Well, yeah, but that's kind of what it's come to lately. It wasn't that way always, Henry.
Yeah. Yeah, not just here.
Not just here. And I whenever I go to other communities, you're always asking for the restroom key, it seems like. But not everywhere, but in restaurants or wherever there's a lot of restroom activity, I guess you could say, because they are concerned about the maintenance of it and just any old person off the street, I guess, using it and sometimes abusing it.
They do happen to be a target sometimes.
Yeah.
Or if you see a lot of coin operated bathrooms, public restrooms, in a park or whatever, you drop a €0.50 or in the UK, a half a pound into the key or 20 pence or whatever, and it unlocks the door.
Yeah. That helps pay for the maintenance.
Right.
It defrays the cost, sure.
Yes. How is it that I may download these to print them and put them into the survey book that I have here for the archives? Because I know that you are planning to delete older materials on the website in 2 or 3 months. And so I would like to make printed copies for the archives so that they can be referenced if someone says, oh, well, you can't prove that so-and-so needs such and such. You can come back to those surveys and say, oh, yes, we can.
But Mary,
Yeah, so
wouldn't it be a better idea to wait until the close of the survey to do that?
Yes, but I would like to be able to download. I only have about 15 or 20 here. So if you have 75, then I am missing, 60 or 55 of them.
well, these are only the ones, I believe these are only the ones that were performed online.
Correct.
So if what you have are ones that were filled out by hand, then actually it's additive. Because all I have is what was filled out online.
73, it looks like.
But, well, let me kind of interject something here. Anything that I received from Mary, if she forwarded a hard copy to me, or if anybody sent an email to me with their surveys, I went ahead and added them to the electronic survey. So that's why we're up to speed with both the electronic, the written, and the emailed versions. So
great.
Yeah. But Mary, I don't see any reason why I need to keep these. I can go ahead and give you the hard copies that I've printed, both from the emails I've received and from the hard copies you've sent to me. I can get those to you.
And
I have all
Mary,
my hard copies. I just need the ones that have been sent via electronic device.
Yeah,
I have all the hard copies that have come in the US Post. No problem.
Okay.
And so, Mary, what format do you want that in? Do you want the charts? Do you want the surveys themselves?
Well, the surveys themselves in a PDF form that I can print them, both sides of and then put them in the order in which they came. Or in other words, when they came in September, I put them in a September under the September tab. Then the ones that came in October, I put under the October tab. So I've not received any in November as yet, but I would like to put them in so that each person has theirs represented in our archives.
Yeah, I think I can. I think I should be able to get the individual surveys as a PDF. So let me work on that and see if I can set that up either as something you can go in and download yourself, or I can if I can send it to you. Either way.
It'd be great if I could download it myself, go in there and just do that. Also, the very final tabulation after December 31st, if I could have a chart like the beautiful ones that were presented this evening, that would be great to be put into the book as well.
Yeah.
And then you can show it to the BOS or to any of the state representatives or whomever asks about it.
Yeah, and that's easy enough. It's just I click a button and it updates, and then I can print it out however.
And
So
that's
we-
what I
we
was
can-
referring to.
Yeah.
I thought Mary was referring to downloading these, and I thought, well, maybe it's best to wait until the final chart is tabulated, and then you have one set only of these.
Yeah,
Yes, I
so
would only like to have one set of the chart.
I get
showing
you.
Yeah.
The
Good, okay.
total of everything, but then they can look through each individual and see what each individual thought. Like the toilets was a good idea, and I didn't think about it, so it wasn't on mine, but it was a good idea on someone's, and that represents one opinion that could easily be done and is a very good idea. So,
Henry, do you want
Yeah.
to stop sharing if we're done with this?
oh yes, sorry
chart?
about that. Yeah, good point. Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
my only follow-up question on that would be the surveys themselves contain people's name and email address.
Mhm.
And I
We-
wonder,
We don't want to make that public.
yeah, exactly. So I think,
Redact
well, you
What's
could
that?
redact it, but
yeah,
I would like to have it printed in mine, because in 5 or 10 or 15 years, the name might not be alive, or the email might be changed. The telephone number, my old telephone number is gone. So, it's old information after a year or 2 or 3.
Henry, would we be able to do just a separate sheet with everybody, the respondents' names and their email addresses, and have that separated from the final draft or final report that we have of the surveys?
yeah. I mean, I guess that makes me think that maybe it's best to do this all in one go at the end of the survey. Just because then there's going to be a little bit more manual work, but it shouldn't be difficult to to pull in whatever data we want and remove whatever data we don't. It's just that'll be a manual rather than an automated process. So I think probably start of January is probably the best time to do that when the survey closes.
Okay,
If that's okay with you, Mary.
That's fine with me. I just like to have, that information, so that in 5 years or 7 years or whatever, the BOS says, that, why do you want this? Where did you get this information? And then you could present it and say,
Yeah.
this is where that information came from. And here's the chart that shows, how many people think your service to us is dreck. So
Yeah.
please do something,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
proof.
Sorry
It's
for
like
the
a ballot.
collation here. It's a
Yeah.
collation word that I use quite often, but at
Yeah.
any rate, here's the percentage of people who think that you should do more for us.
Yeah.
And we have
Yeah.
all of the names and all of the people who sent them and their idea, and the check on the yes button if you'd like to see it.
It's the actual proof, right, Mary?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the hard copy, and
Yeah.
I think I get this nudge feeling that you guys are going to need that one of these days to show the BOS that they are just BS.
Okay.
I think I'll mute on that one.
Uh-huh.
Forget the O.
So, Robert, unless you and Dan have anything else, that concludes the survey.
Portion of the
portion.
Walla Services Committee, okay. Do we have anything under item 1 and 2, Walla Parks report, affordable housing report?
Yeah. All of you probably saw that the state was able to give the county $2.2 million to be used for improvements to Bower Park. I did forward to Mary, and I think she sent to all of you the 2 versions of the park assessment plan or a park assessment report. In addition, there was also a preliminary budget indicating what the costs were to do the different projects and how they were prioritized. So that was very helpful. I did talk to the director, and she indicated that to date, they have not received the $2.2 million from the state.
Mhm.
So they're not moving forward with anything. I know that Supervisor Williams indicated that he was going to kind of do a public survey of what people felt were the important items that they felt should be improved in Bower Park. To date, I haven't seen any indication yet that he has moved forward with putting together a response or committee for that. So that's one of the reasons why these surveys are so important right now, is that if people in the public see improvements that need to be made at Bower Park, they can do the survey and under comments indicate what areas they feel are important to improve, and we can use that feedback for our county board of supervisors.
Kevin?
Yeah.
When was that exactly that you sent us that park assessment report?
Mary, when did you send that out?
Was that this past month?
Yes,
Yeah.
about the 10th or the 12th of the month, wasn't it, Evan? It wasn't, Kevin?
But it came
Yeah.
from it came from Mary's email, huh?
Yes,
Correct.
yes, it did. He sent me
Okay.
that, and I sent it. It's like 3 or 4 pages of information on how much it would cost for each individual thing to do what it's gonna do. Let's see if I can find a copy of it. Here it is. It looks kind of, I didn't have my color copier, but it kind of looks like this.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's it. That's the flow chart for the repairs. And I do want
That's
to,
the flow chart, yes.
and I do want to say, I'm sorry to Henry, because Henry actually forwarded this information to us a while back in his communications with Ms. Rao at the county. So it was just a republication of what actually Henry had provided us earlier.
No worries.
And I can send it again. There's no problem. Actually, I should reprint it.
I-
again,
I
because
just
my
found
color
it.
printer
Okay,
didn't
Mary.
have any ink.
10/18 you sent it. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm sorry. I missed it. Okay.
and I'd be happy to send it again if anyone needs it or wants it.
And Robert, I just saw Mr. Spack indicated that he's got his hand up, I guess, and he'd like to make a comment. So it might be appropriate for public comment.
David Spock, go ahead.
Thank you, Robert. Kevin, thanks for tracking this topic. Let me know if I can help at some point. I have some background in this, and of course, I live in the neighborhood. Anyway, I just sent my email address. If you'd like to reach out and let me know how I can help out, it would be a privilege.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for your work tracking the topic.
And
Oh,
also thank you for your survey response.
You're welcome. Let's talk about that too sometime if you like.
I'd love to.
All right.
Oh, and just a quick question. Sorry, you said you have a background in this. Do you feel comfortable expanding on that a little bit?
I don't want to waste your time, but very shortly, I spent 4 years managing the park development programs for the city of West Sacramento in the Central Valley.
I would say that's relevant
developed about
experience.
$15 million worth of park and trail facilities, a variety of scales.
And David, tell Henry what you're doing right now for the Redwood Coast Land Conservancy.
Hey, I'm retired, man. No,
Come on.
I sit on the board of directors of Redwood Coast Land Conservancy, and I spent the last couple of years managing the conservation planning process, which we just concluded. And Robert, thanks again for joining us at the September 17th unveiling. It was a pleasure to talk with you.
That was a
And
wonderful
let me know
presentation.
if this group at some point would like a personal presentation, a briefing of that conservation plan. It'd be again, a privilege and an honor to share it with you directly.
I think we need to share it with Henry. We haven't forwarded it to him yet.
Yes, sign me up for that.
He's been
Well,
gone
it's up to you guys to sign me up. So I will, I will follow your leads. I don't want to, again, bust into your agenda. You guys have plenty to do.
quite all right.
Yeah, maybe we
Thank
could
you
put
so
that
much.
on next month's agenda or the month after that, perhaps.
What date is your agenda next month? I'm sorry.
I think it'll be the
Or always
first,
the first Thursday of the month.
So it'd be the 1st of December.
December
Yes,
1, yeah.
December 1, yes, sir.
I can make myself available to you on that date. Just send me a note to confirm.
Okay,
All
and you
right.
would be giving us a presentation, David, or what?
I will do that.
Okay.
Yeah, what I can do is I'll replay the show that I pitched a couple times at the unveiling.
Okay.
And with your permission, we can spend a little time digging into a few more details than I was
Oh.
able to at that briefing.
That would be great for the council.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, I think
Great.
that's a good idea, Dave. Thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
Dawn and I were there at that. And any other council members? Melissa, were you there? No?
No, I wanted to go but
Uh-huh.
didn't feel well that afternoon.
But Dawn and I were there and it was really fantastic.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
it's pretty
spoke with, I can't
incredible.
remember her name, but I on that day or maybe the day before, I spoke with a woman who was also a part of that project, who gave me her card, and I wanted to go, but I was had childcare duties that prevented me. I would have loved to take my son, but it's right smack in the middle of nap time.
Mhm.
So I was sad to miss that, and would love to get caught up on it.
Okay, well, I apologize again for busting in the agenda. So
No,
Kevin,
not
let me
at
know
all.
how I can help you out with Bower Park.
All right. Thank you,
Thank you.
David, so much.
And Mary, please make a note of that for the next month's agenda with regards to David's presentation.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything on affordable housing report?
Robert?
Yeah,
Dan,
I'm sorry, Dan, I missed you. Sorry.
Yeah, one more thing on park. I walked Bower Park the other day before yesterday, and noticed a couple of things. The spillway that goes under the road that's been collapsing there
Right.
has got one of those big sandwich board things to keep you from walking into the low spot in the pavement. Well, the rest of it's being undermined. I saw a hole and I looked down sideways, and going down towards the creek is all undermined now.
yeah,
So if somebody walks on that, it's gonna go
Oh, boy.
pretty soon. So that asphalt is being supported by pretty much the asphalt.
Ooh,
And also there was a headline on today's ICO about tree disease hitting the North Coast here, which isn't going to help the park any, although we don't have most of the species that they mentioned as being hit by the bark beetles. We do have a couple of the pines out there. Then mostly what they've been cleaning up have been firs and pines that fell, the bishop pines. But the ponderosas and some of the others are also being hit. And I think that may become a factor here pretty soon.
Mhm.
Nice picture, Don.
So, so do we make the county further aware of that now too, or, I mean, it's sounding like a safety measure too.
Yeah, I'll give him a call in the morning and
Okay. Sounds good.
let them know that that's an increasing problem.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think liability concerns have been one of the things that have sparked them to action. Hopefully the action this time won't be shut down the park.
right.
Okay, anything else on the parks? Anybody? Or on,
No, nothing except that I'm just over the moon to hear about that money, assuming it does come through to help the park. It's just phenomenal news.
what did we discuss at last month's meeting, Kevin, when Henry couldn't make it? We wanted to somehow have some kind of control or some kind of oversight into how that gets distributed. You mentioned something about a lot of it's going to go towards, or a good portion is going to go towards administrative costs in how to earmark it or make it go towards what it's actually supposed to go towards, right? But wasn't there some kind of committee we formed last month?
What we did was we went ahead and reinstated the park committee.
Thank you. Yeah.
So it's Henry and Dan and I. And what we're doing is we're encouraging the public either through the survey process or just contact with us to let us know what's important to them so we can kind of get ahead of the game with the Board of Supervisors. When they put their public outreach committee together, we will already have in real time input from a lot of the residents here.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what Dan and Henry and I are going to do is really look at collecting information on the amenities that the public would like to see as a priority. Big Park.
Okay. So in under the Wallala Parks report, we're kind of doing that from here on.
Correct.
Reinstating that work that you guys were doing. Okay.
Yeah, I'd seen something about that in the minutes as well. So thanks for expanding on that.
Okay. What else did you want to say, Henry? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that was it. Thank
That
you.
was it. Okay. So anybody else on the parks? Before I ask about affordable housing again, I don't get the feeling we had any time to deal with affordable housing this past month. Anybody?
No, but what I will, and I don't have my agenda in front of me, but I do want to kind of share something regarding economic development. And that is, I'm reaching out to the Wallala Chamber of Commerce to see if we can work at getting the businesses reintroduced to the Chamber of Commerce group, because we feel that they were important. The Chamber of Commerce was really important in our community prior to COVID. And then with COVID, everything kind of ceased. There were no longer meetings. But what I'd like to do is work with them, with GMAC, working with the Chamber to reintroduce the Chamber of Commerce concept in our community and get old members back and introduce and invite new members and really get them to weigh in on the future of our community.
Okay, I'm one of the last members on that Chamber of Council board, Kevin. There's another gentleman, Rick Craddy. We're kind of the remnants of it, so I'm all ears to getting that going again. We had a pretty active board back when, and COVID, like you say, hit us hard. But there's others in the community, business people that I know of that would love to see that happen too. So let's talk about that, you and I, or however we can get everybody motivated again on that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of money. Oh, Mary, go ahead.
I'm sorry, don't forget the service organizations. Seroptimus has been a member of the Chamber of Commerce for many years.
Right.
And don't forget the Lions and the Druids and the Rotarians and the I forget.
Lions, Rotarians,
Yeah, Rotarians.
optimists. There's
Yes.
a lot of them. Yeah.
Yes, and the churches could also join.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think doing a new campaign, kind of like a reintroduction of the Chamber of Commerce, and just send an invite to the hoteliers, the restaurateurs, everybody, all the businesses in the community, that collectively we would probably have more of an influence and impact on getting our TOT and sales tax money redistributed to our community.
You know what that reminds me of now, Kevin? It's one of the questions I answered on the survey is how can the county or help us businesses? And through the Chamber of Commerce, we actually do or have in the past received help, some funding from. At one time, we were receiving funds from both, small amount of funds, but of funds from Sonoma County and Mendocino County, because we're kind of on the bi-county line here. And that was what was keeping the visitor center, which is located right next to my office, going. And that also was affiliated with the Redwood Coast Chamber of Commerce. So we had the Redwood Coast Visitor Center, which has just become me pretty much now because there's no board anymore. So when I'm here at my office, I try to help as many visitors as I can that drop by. But we do need an active board again for the Chamber of Commerce. And then we had board members all the way up to Point Arena that they kind of branched off at one time and became their own BID. I think they became a business.
Yeah.
Okay. But we were down to Timber Cove and we had a good thing going. So that's great to try to revive that. I think I know of 2 or 3 potential board members. So I think that would help tremendously. The
I
business.
agree. So that was, what I wanted to share on economic development is that we really want to jumpstart that again, that program in our community.
Okay. And that came up right now under affordable housing in some regards, huh?
Yeah, I think, do we have an economic development portion on our agenda? I forgot.
Luke
I'm
did
having
the
a-
housing and economic development.
Okay,
Housing and economic development is what it
Yes.
was, right? Okay.
Yes.
okay. I thought I was having a senior moment, so thank
No,
you.
Mary,
It's
maybe
on
we
the
should,
agenda.
Mary, maybe we should list it as such again on the agenda.
Well, it is it on the agenda under that? Maybe it isn't. I don't know.
Oh, no, it's not. It should be under affordable housing and economic development report. It's what it should be.
Yeah, especially since affordable housing is one of the things that is limiting economic development in the area, as you see from
Right.
any number of businesses having to limit their hours,
Right.
or in the case
Housing
of the
reform.
chowder house shut down entirely.
Yeah,
We have-
exactly.
I thought we had it together at one time, so let's put it together again, Mary.
Yes, I will do so
Okay.
right now. I
And-
penciled it in. Thank
And
you.
Robert, do we know who's on that committee?
On the what? Chamber of Commerce?
No, on the
Affordable housing.
Affordable Housing Economic Development Committee.
We
Yes.
put it under the big umbrella of the Wallala Services Committee is what we've done.
It's Evans, Youngling, Lewis. That's
Oh,
under
okay.
the
Right.
Services Committee.
Okay,
Under that umbrella is what it is, yeah.
Yes, yes.
thank you, Mary.
But basically our shadow government.
Yeah,
Okay, but then there's the Wallala Parks report, which is now been revived, and that's specifically Kevin and Henry. So
and Dan,
and Dan
Yeah.
underneath the umbrella Wallala Services Committee. So affordable housing could be any one of the 3 of us, Evans, Jungling, or Lewis. Well, we got to limit it to, I guess, 3.
right.
And then the
Yeah.
community survey is pretty much being handled under Kevin, under the Services Committee. Okay. Huh.
But there were some of you want to do one thing, some of you want to do another. There are 3 or 4 in there. I can break it off into the economic development. I don't know, housing and economic development, who would want to do that, but evidently Kevin was interested in getting the fiddly-dee, the Chamber of Commerce together. So maybe he would like to do the housing and economic development along with Mr. Youngling, whereas Mr. Meyer really loved to do the surveys, et cetera. So he and Mr. Evans could do that. So Mr. Youngling seemed to have not a lot to do with that, whereas he's on the committee, but
Right.
Mr. Meyer isn't. So
So what do you think about making it a 4th item under our Wallala Services Committee? Make the economic development as a separate item.
I could easily do that, no problem.
Okay.
that would
that
be-
way-
A through whatever.
No. Under Wallala Services Committee, we'd have a 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, I see. Under 4, yes, of course.
Then it's
No
kind of separated and 2 or 3 members could deal with it. Okay.
Yes, and the members could be broken down into who wants to do that and who doesn't want to do that, but they're all under the Services Committee.
Right. But that way it doesn't get forgotten, the economic development report.
Yes, I'd be happy to do that next month. absolutely. No problem.
Okay, so do we have anything else under 6B? The Wallala Services Committee? No? Nobody else? Okay, then let's move on to the GCAP Committee update. That consists of Melissa Finley, Henry
Youngling
Mayer,
and Mayor.
and myself. So I wanted to let you know that we do have some good news. At the last month's meeting, I reported that there was going to be a California Transportation Commission meeting down in Santa Barbara. And at that meeting, the California Transportation Committee staff recommendations were released for the Active Transportation Program grants. And Wallala is on that list of projects to be funded. So that was some good news. Now we're going to be awaiting the program of those projects to be finalized at the commission's December 7th and 8th meeting. And then we'll be awaiting the completion of the new and hopefully final Caltrans design for the streetscape. So, the project still is a couple years away. I don't know when they're exactly thinking of the start of construction. We still have to go through the right-of-way acquisition phase. There has to still be a final design. So, but there's $10 million earmarked for this project now. And so there's more money been given to Caltrans for furthering the design. And anybody else have any input on this, or have you read any further on it? David's usually up on it too. If you want to say anything, David, if you're still out there in the audience.
Thank you, Robert. I would like to offer just a couple comments very briefly. Again, I know you got a crowded schedule. I talked with Jaime Mateole. He's the new corridor manager for District 1.
Mm-hmm.
And also his new project manager, Karen Coonrod, who's taking the reins from Frank Demling on the project. When I talked to them, it was mid-August, so they were absolutely in the throes of getting that final preliminary design, that conceptual design lined up. They told me it'd take 2 or 3 months to move through that process. But at some point, they would like to engage the community again in checking their work, bring something back to the community in some form, and interact with a group of people who were willing to help out, not to snipe from the sidelines, or not to go backwards in time to revisit topics that have been settled, but to offer constructive criticism or confirmation or affirmation, and to start to dig into at least thinking about how the project would be implemented, and ultimately to Mr. Mayor's observation, whatever we build, we have to live with it. We've got to maintain it. And one of the sticking points for the streetscape is that Caltrans can build the landscaping strip, which now will be substantial, but they can't maintain it. And so that's something that it's another community service. It's another community opportunity, but there's a burden there that needs to be resolved. So one opportunity here in design is to have an interaction with design so that we know what's coming our way, and we can begin to figure out, well, who's best suited to carry that landscaping forever.
Right.
So something to look forward to. Again, I'm very interested in helping with this, make sure it happens. I want to participate and help this organization move the conversation forward. I'm excited that we're finally at a place where there's a very practical and efficient, and I think effective configuration for the streetscape that's going to be a blessing for the community. It's going to make the place in so many wonderful ways, and really contribute to economic and social vitality here. But we can't get tired of it. We're gonna have to muscle up and stay with it and help Caltrans get it done.
Right.
Will there be a roundabout at Old State Road when you come in from the south, so that to slow down traffic? And
Mary, that's a good point, because that's something I wanted to bring up with David just now, is there's a little bit of a gap there between the streetscape and I'm so glad that David's agreed to come to our December meeting to present us all with what he presented at the Wallala Arts Center back on the 18th of September. But there is a little, and David, please chime in, but that's where I had been promoting that roundabout for so long. And then Caltrans has always said that's not part of the current streetscape project, Mary. Because south of
Too
Center,
bad.
maybe we could add it. I don't know, David. What do you think?
I think it's a topic that's worth bringing up again and again.
Mhm,
And again.
And again. Okay.
But to your point, Robert, you're correct. The current, the extent of the plan of the streetscape project ends at Center Street. Yeah, it's essentially right across the street from the pullout.
Right.
It does include a crosswalk there, which in some ways is a way to kind of wrench the topic open. But there are other things going on, like an extension of the California Coastal Trail
Right.
that really kind of beg the questions. Well, does the streetscape really have to end, or should it end really at Center Street when transportation issues about the town really do start at Old State Highway at that intersection? And one could even argue that it starts down at the bridge, but let's not argue too much. I think that the roundabout question is not part of the project at the moment, but Caltrans is aware of the question.
Yeah,
Because it would
some sort of
really
traffic
slow
calming.
down- Really slow down traffic. And if there's going to be a crosswalk right there on Center Street and people are still coming in at 40 and 50 miles an hour rather than going through the roundabout and
Right.
slowing down to 20 or 25, you're going to have problems
Right.
up one side and down the other, and loss of life perhaps. And that
Well,
would be
it's
a tragedy.
Well,
It's a super serious issue. Let's see what happens. Let's just carry the topic. Don't let it die just because it isn't in the project right now. Doesn't mean that between today and 2025, which is when construction money would be programmed, that we couldn't figure out a way to make it happen.
I'll keep pulling up my roundabout.
the
drawings.
only thing that concerns me about potential roundabout, which I do think is a good idea, and it would be great to have that at Old Stage Highway. But, I don't want to see us delaying streetscape by throwing this monkey wrench in.
No.
Okay,
No
now
more
we want
wrenches.
more.
Yeah,
We want
no
more.
more
We want to
wrenches.
expand this,
Yeah.
then we may be talking additional years of delay. I don't want to see that.
You got a good point there, Don. Let's get this finalized first by the CTC here in December. And we can, like David suggests, we can talk about it every once in a while. I can throw my rudimentary roundabout drawings around a little bit here and there. We can talk about, we're working on getting a maintenance or landscaping maintenance district or volunteer group together. Call it landscaping and public restroom maintenance committee or something. I don't know, but we can keep talking about those issues. Yeah, I don't see why that would hurt, but we don't want to put a monkey wrench into what we got where
No,
we're at now.
no, we don't.
Sure.
That's
And I
wise,
do think
wise perspective.
putting together some kind of preliminary committee or something is a good idea for landscape maintenance, and see, who we can come up with in terms of volunteers in the community to join some kind of a group like this. And then we have something to show Caltrans. Okay, we've already, talked about this in the community. There are people that are willing to volunteer. I think, that's going to be another show of good faith on our part that we're committed to maintaining the streetscape landscaping once it's put in.
Yeah, Don, what you just said is the key issue. This has been a long, hard road, and it has caused a lot of exhaustion. To some extent, that might have been the strategy of the opponents, as a kind of a war of attrition. But we're here now. Some really important corners have been turned. We can't peter out. And I think what's important for Wallala, this is again my opinion, I'll just put it out there for you guys to think about, is that it's time for us to become very clearly Caltrans' partner on implementation. We have opinions, we are concerned, but we're their partner. and they can trust us to help out as best as we can. That's the type of relationship I think we have now, an opportunity and perhaps an obligation, given the state's investment in this enterprise. We got to step up and be what they need locally that they can't be.
Not to mention the county's investment in this so far. I mean,
We're all in it.
right, they're heavily invested in it, MCOG.
Sure.
So great.
Thanks
Melissa,
for letting me speak.
you bet, David, anytime.
Thank you,
Melissa
David.
Thank you.
and Henry, do you guys have anything as part of the committee to add?
Yes,
Yes,
I was
ma'am.
going to say, I really love the idea of the roundabout slowing people down and the idea of bringing it up to Caltrans and MCOG with the, and when introducing that concept, just say straight ahead, we really want this, but we want more, not for it, our hope for it to interfere in any way with the implementation of Streetscape.
Yeah.
Make sure they know that it's not something that's a deal breaker for us, that we just want to say, well, could we please? And realize in essence, we'll accept a no.
Well, like we've been alluding to, we will bring it up softly, okay? Well, gently. We will not forget about that idea, because that's what really brings the two major, beautiful, big plans together right there at Old State Highway. But
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, we will keep that in mind, Melissa. Thanks. Henry, anything else to add?
No, I mean, I'm on the same page of it's a road that's built for people to go 50. And even if you throw a speed limit that says 25, if the road's built for people to go 50, a lot of people are going to go 50.
Yeah.
So, but I agree. It seems like, over the whatever 20 some odd years that this project has been going, it's, any change adds years. So I'm very sympathetic to Don's point of view.
Yeah.
But
But
Just
anything new to
one
add there?
last thought. If their real concern is slowing down traffic before it enters Gualala, and quite frankly, I've never seen anybody go 50 miles an hour through town.
You
Robert, have
haven't?
you?
I certainly have.
I
I certainly
I have
have.
not.
it's often,
Okay.
it happens a lot more often than you guys think. And I live down here at this office.
Okay.
Yeah.
In any event, what I was thinking is that the other option to help slow traffic down is to put rumble strips at the approach of town. They've
Yeah.
done that in other parts of California, and it just wakes people up and makes them realize, yeah, you got to slow down.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I guess
That's a
I
lot. That's
would-
a lot cheaper. That's a hell of a lot cheaper than building a roundabout.
Right.
True.
yeah, I think it's a good. We are not the experts on. My goal is traffic calming. The exact mechanism. I would happily defer to the experts. I would imagine Caltrans has their opinions on what the most effective and cost-effective ways are to traffic calm. I think that's maybe another way to present it, is not what we want a traffic circle, is to say we would love to have some physical infrastructure to provide some traffic calming, and a roundabout is one way to do that we think would be an attractive option. But if there's any way we can introduce some sort of physical infrastructure without derailing the plan, then that would be a goal worth pursuing.
Bingo.
So yeah, maybe presenting the goal rather than the mechanism might be
Yes.
the best approach.
So it
That's-
seems,
Sounds good.
go ahead. Who was talking? Melissa?
Yeah, I just said that sounds very good. That sounds very good, Henry.
Yeah.
Well, or Don, really.
We just don't want to muddy the waters too much. And
No.
I mean, we were very vocal about the north end of the streetscape plan, about how we strongly felt that there needed to be a left turn pocket as you approach Ocean Drive from the north. Okay.
Yep.
I think we were successful in getting that to be included at the north end as part of the project. A roundabout at the south end is pie in the sky at the moment. So, but that's a huge pill to swallow for them, I'm sure. So we can't jeopardize where we're at right now. There's just no way.
Correct.
So I think we're all on the same page, but it's great to hear all the additional input on this, and it bodes for a great future if we could get these two plans to merge nicely at Old State Highway. Wouldn't that be something, David? And all of you. Okay, I think we've talked enough about this subject matter, but we will keep you posted. Looking forward to next month's meeting and hearing from David on that plan of Redwood Coast Land Conservancy. Any last minute input on this? Otherwise, we'll go on to 6D. Okay. Anything from you, Don, on the electric vehicle charging station? Update or report?
No, I really don't have anything to add. There's nothing new that I'm aware of in terms of moving forward with any type of program that local businesses could, apply for at this time.
Mhm.
Hopefully, something will be coming, early next year with the federal money being allocated to the different states now.
Okay. How about under telecommunications committee? How's all that transfer process going?
Okay, I haven't been able to do much work in terms of making a copy of the database or the database for our website yet. Perhaps I'll have time to start that work this month.
That's a lot of
We
work.
haven't had too many views. Oh, I'm sorry,
That's a lot of work too,
you said
correct?
something, Robert?
What?
What
Don?
did you say? I'm sorry.
I said, and that is a lot of work too, isn't it, Don?
Yeah, I guess
Okay.
because of latency, sometimes I'm talking, you're talking at the same time, and so then
Uh-huh.
I don't understand. Okay, yeah, the redoing the website is not a trivial process, so that's going to take some time.
Okay, but I was kind of referring to the transfer of it all. I mean, Don and I this past month have had a lot of communications with getting the permission to do all this stuff from MCN, right?
Yeah, that's all been taken care of. I think we're good to go now in terms of getting a copy of our website and database
Okay,
off of MCN and putting it somewhere else where we can start to work with it. I just haven't actually started that process yet, but that's going to take a little time.
right. Okay, that's the big load. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, in terms of viewership of our website, we had 19 views this past month, which isn't very many, but I noticed that the previous months we were only in the low to mid 20s, so not that many people are really looking at our meeting video. Maybe because there haven't been any really big controversial issues that we've been discussing lately or something. Also, the past month, it was a little bit late for me to get the recording up onto the website because I was in Montana and there's no way I could do it from up there. I had no bandwidth. So I didn't do it till I got back, and so it was only there for about a half a month or so. In any event, there does not, and to me, mid 20s, that kind of viewership is not all that encouraging in terms of the community paying attention to what we're doing. So I'm not sure what we can do to improve that. Although, if you think about it, when we had our meetings, at the community center, oftentimes there was only a handful of people there,
Right.
unless there was some controversial issue like a cell tower going up in a particular neighborhood. then there were considerably more. And then, of course, the streetscape meetings, which tended to be well attended. So maybe the viewership that we're getting, in the mid-20s or something, is commensurate with what we would have had in terms of attendance. If we were still having live meetings at the community center. I don't know. Well, what do you think about that?
I totally agree. I think Mary would attest to that also, and whoever else has been around a long time. at
We've
these-
had live meetings where no one showed up but us.
You're right.
It's true.
I think it's
Not
easier for,
one person.
it's much easier for people to attend via Zoom. And yet we're seeing the numbers drop off a little bit because if there's not anything controversial, like you were saying, Don,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. And
I
and
think-
actually the big advantage to viewing the Zoom meeting, the Zoom recording on YouTube is, I put in timelines, so people can skip to whatever major topic, is in the timeline pretty easily. So you don't have to, listen to the whole meeting, parts that have, may not be of interest to you, that kind of thing. So it does make it easier, really, for people to sort of zoom in, no pun intended, to the topic that may be of interest to them. It's much easier to do that with a YouTube recording than actually showing up at a live meeting where you gotta travel, downtown Guadalajara, sit to the meeting, whatever. So it does have its advantages, clearly. I'm just not, I'm a bit disappointed we don't get a better viewership. Yeah,
I do have one thought on this, which is the ICO publishes their a box with civic meetings, and the one for the Board of Supervisors lists their YouTube link, and the one for GMAC lists the GMAC website. And I wonder if since it's specifically linking to, it's talking about the meeting that we're going to have. I wonder if encouraging them to link to the YouTube feed, either in addition to or instead of the Gualala Mac website, might tell people, well, there's going to be, instead of just saying, well, you can go to walalamac.org, saying you can see the video of the meeting, just by sending a YouTube link instead, might drive more traffic. I have no idea.
I send out the agenda to between 12 and 15 people a month who have asked to have the agenda. The ICO is one of them, and there are many times in the brief coastal notes or in the meeting stuff, there'll be a list of every day in 4-point type that will say GMAC meeting at the bottom or on that Thursday. But I don't see it in the brief coastal notes at all. And I do not see any Zoom link, which is a really easy thing to do now with our monthly same Zoom link,
Yeah.
and no
Okay.
GMAC website.
Okay.
So I
Okay,
don't-
that's a good point. I'm gonna get in touch with the ICO
good.
and make sure that they publish, for example, that GMAC monthly tiny URL. It's the same every month now, so everybody can get to the meeting if they want to without having to, figure out something different each time. And then maybe, after the meeting occurs, a YouTube link, which is more direct than going to the website. Obviously, it's
Yeah.
on the website, the YouTube link, but you have to drill down, to the monthly, section for that particular month and figure out where it is. But it would be much easier to just have the direct YouTube link.
And when I send.
Oh, the other thing is, I wonder, the other thing, I was just thinking also that I may be able to do a tiny URL, which would be the same every month. I would just have to change the YouTube URL address. And that would make it even easier.
The
So
When I
I
send
think
it out
that's-
next
that's
month,
kind of-
I'll ask Chris to list that URL Zoom link.
Why
with-
don't you let me take care of it?
Okay, I'd be happy to,
yeah.
no problem. I was just thought when I
Yeah.
sent out the agenda for December 1, that I could then ask her to do that.
Well, so Dawn's gonna
I will
let,
let them know. I will let them know what they need to do in terms of
Great,
any URL or anything.
thank you,
Okay.
thank you.
as our webmaster, yep. Okay, so, anything else under telecommunications?
Robert,
Dawn
Yeah.
and, yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
can I just add something? And some of you may have seen it. The city of Ukiah just received $311,000 or $311,000 from the federal government to improve, research and improve their broadband service.
Mm-hmm.
Saw that in the Ukiah Journal. And so it's nice to see that there's money in the federal government that is being used to help improve low band areas.
Right, okay.
Well,
Um,
that's kind of us, although there are worse areas than Walala, let me tell you.
mm,
I was in Montana and our friend that I was visiting there, his bandwidth is 6 megabits per second max. And here with further reach, I get 35. I guess you could pay for even more. But 35 is reasonably decent. I never have any major issue. I don't know what kind of bandwidth is everybody else getting around here?
I wish I knew.
About the same as you're getting.
Okay. Henry, what about you?
I think Sky Fiber's in the same realm.
Okay,
Okay.
that's what I have down here at the office, okay.
I
So
used
yeah,
to,
it's not great. It's not great, but it's not the worst ever.
yeah, it's a little choppier. I think that would be ideal, but we don't have a pipe coming in, right? It's a little regrettable because there's fiber that gets to Sea Ranch, and it's right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
But-
Yeah.
From the south, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we have fiber leaving our little AT&T building here and going to the north, but nobody really uses it, to my knowledge.
That's what I'd like to see federal money come into, to give everyone broadband through through Skype, through the fiber optic cables.
Right.
It's
Oh,
for
that's
the
what,
San Francisco stock market to connect to the Tokyo stock market. That's what it was put there for. And if anybody wants to connect to it, they have to pay beaucoup bucks to do it because it's really exclusive for those two stock markets.
But I think I think one of the like big undersea internet cables comes in somewhere near Bowling Ball Beach.
Yes,
Like one of the big,
Manchester.
like,
It-
yeah.
No, it's
Further north,
it's
Yeah.
Manchester.
Oh, Manchester.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
and in Manchester.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a facility right there in Manchester Beach, and there's no windows in the building. It looks like some military facility. Barbed wire fence all around it. I mean, yeah, it's right there.
They're
Probably
not
get
encouraging
Pretty good
anyone.
speeds.
They don't want anyone on it except the stock markets. I think they wanted like $100,000 to connect RCMS, the quarter of a mile or eighth of a mile from it, and then like $40,000 or $50,000 a month. I could be wrong. Maybe it was $10,000 a month to connect to it. That's
Wow.
what we told
Okay.
RCMS. A huge amount of money.
So the money that Kevin was talking about, the 311,000 or so, that's helping the inland areas once again, right, Kevin? Not so
No,
much-
just the city of Ukiah
just the city of
specifically.
Ukiah. Okay.
Yeah, they applied for a grant from
Okay.
the federal government and they were awarded that.
Henry, we tried so
Well-
hard when we did the undergrounding project.
So if you look
here
at
in
the,
Paula.
I think I still have the article. If not, yeah, look on the Ukiah Journal.
Well,
Okay.
this
Further
is another, this is another big advantage of being a city and not just an unincorporated area. I mean, what entity do we have here in
Yeah.
Walla that would actually apply for a grant? There's no entity here.
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's
So-
that's the issue. You need a governmental entity to be able to
Ye-
apply for
ex-
federal or state grants.
Exactly. So the Mendocino
That's not
Board of
exactly what
Supervisors
happened,
would
though.
have to do that for us.
Yeah, Dan, go ahead.
Further Reach is actually out here on a federal grant because they put together a program to supply.
Right.
The federal government was looking for means to provide high-speed internet to underserved areas. And that's what started Further Reach. Yahel Ben
Right.
David and his partner got in under a federal grant for a private company to do that.
Right.
And you can tell who's using Calneva because they're not on the screen.
But yeah, Calneva, I think is gone, right?
Yeah, but there is somebody
Yeah, they
trying to
are
revive
gone.
it. There is a,
Really?
yeah, there, what's his name again? I'll have to, he's out of Nevada also, Henry, and I don't know.
Sky, isn't that Sky Fiber?
That's
Sky Fiber's out of
Fiber
Nevada,
also. They're out
But
of,
that's,
I
it's a
thought Sky
different,
Fiber,
they're out of Reno, you're right. But there's also the guy that's trying to revive the local cable network that we had.
uh,
And bought all those assets. Henry, I just
they
have to
were
get your name
truly
on that.
awful.
They were, yeah. But
We had them for a while. Oof.
yeah,
Further Reach, I think overall does a pretty good job. They seem to be very responsive. You know, when you have a technical problem, they announce when there's going to be brief outages for maintenance and all of that. So I think they're a pretty reasonable company. They're just, it's not cheap. I mean, for the money you pay here, for like 35 megabits per second, I mean, you can get, 10 times that bandwidth or more in the Bay Area for even less money.
Yeah.
When I had a problem the other day with Further Reach and trying to get onto a particular, the band, the lady who rents from me, she couldn't do it. And the one tech spent with me about an hour and a half solving the problem and getting her devices onto that internet connection. And Further Reach has really been very wonderful for me. They don't drown out when it rains, which was the big problem with the one I had before. Any droplets of rain, it went completely south. But Further Reach can go through the howlingest of storms and still maintain the internet connection for me. So I've had no problem with them. I am glad to pay the $70 a month I pay.
mhm.
Further,
I
Further
should correct.
Reach-
Oh, go ahead.
Further Reach also has government money that subsidizes really low cost for people with limited incomes.
That's a good thing.
I should correct one thing, by the way. I
That
just looked
it
at my,
lowers,
oh.
it lowers the amount you pay to $25 a month.
Ooh.
Go ahead, Henry.
that's great. Yeah, I should just correct. I said Sky Fiber was roughly in the same realm. They're quite a bit lower. I just looked at my most recent, my router does a speed test periodically, and it's actually usually around 13 megabits per second.
Okay.
So that's a lot less good.
That is different.
Well, with further reach, you can pay for different levels of service in terms of bandwidth. I don't know whether Sky Fiber or any of the others, offer tiered levels of
I think
service.
so.
I think Sky Fiber does. I
think so
just,
too, but I'm not sure.
basic rate, I think, is $79 a month
For what? Further reach?
for Sky Fiber.
I don't know.
I downtown here, but I'd have to look just to make sure. But it's in essence, it's the fiber that's in town, right? That they're taking aerial. Is that how that works?
I think the fiber comes in pretty far up the ridge, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, and it leaves the area here. It comes into their central office in downtown here next to the Chevron station and goes right back out, serving a couple of, I think maybe RCMS gets its service, but they pay the big bucks like you guys were saying. And then maybe a couple other businesses that are willing to pay the big dollars to have the cable, the fiber cable versus the Sky Fiber. But that's beyond me a little bit.
It's kind of a funny name, Sky Fiber, because the bandwidth is nowhere near what fiber offers, not even close.
Right. Okay, but
If you're using a wireless service that they offer, which is very similar to further reach, as far as I can tell.
yeah. Okay, well, any more on telecommunications? Let's go on then. We have a brief report from the Water Ad Hoc Committee. Melissa, Don, and I, we met and we did a brief exchange of some paperwork and discussed the plan forward. We need to sit down and talk a lot more about how we want to fulfill this duty of this committee. Melissa and Don and I, we talked about a way forward, but I don't know what else to say, Don or Melissa, on this other than we'll meet again sometime soon.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's about right, Robert. We need to look into this, some history of the water company a little bit more and where things are at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some document collection that I'd like to do for us all, and so we'll be continuing to work on that. Maybe we'll get somewhere with this. But as far as just my regular, what I've always looked at every month, I noticed that we were at a pretty good flow on the North Fork of the Wallala River. Past the gauge, I think it was 6.44 cubic feet per second, which is attributable to the little bit of rainfall we've had lately. And it just seems like the beginnings. It just seems like the beginnings of a kind of an unusual rain season. Hopefully we do get all the rain that's forecast for the next week or so, starting next couple of days per the forecast. So far so good, but other than the September 18th rain event, which was 4 inches, we're looking at November 15th, the bypass flow requirements, they kind of go up a little bit to 40 cubic feet per second. So it'd be nice to be able to get some big rain events where the flow gets healthy again for our river. But that's just all I wanted to add. Melissa and I and Don will continue to work on this committee a little bit more. Anything else you want to say, Melissa or Don?
Sounds good.
No,
Not at this point? Okay.
sounds good, Robert.
Okay. So where are we at? I'm still not sure what I'm supposed to be doing under this G item, drafting a letter regarding THPs. That got lost the last couple of months in the translation. So Mary, what do you think I should be doing here on this?
I'll send you the August minutes. I do believe that's when that was discussed about timber harvest plans.
Okay.
And you were going to speak with Fogger about some of it too.
I did.
The lady who's the president of Fogger, you and she.
And I did report on that. I spoke with Lynn Walton once.
Right.
I do remember doing that much, but
I'll look it up and send you those minutes so that you'll know what it was all about.
I can
If
access.
I remember correctly, I think it was basically registering our disapproval of the way they've been handling these permits and the notification to us that on more than one occasion, the notification had come in after approval, and that generally they just didn't seem to be actually soliciting any input from GMAC in a meaningful way. It was kind of checking a box and barely even that. That's what I remember from that conversation. I don't know if others' recollection varies from that.
I remember they're not listing any of the feedback from local citizens, or maybe only 1 or 2 letters out of 50 regarding a THP in their reports, showing that no one was against it rather than 50 people were against it.
Yeah, I think that was, I think that might have been a somewhat, I mean, I don't see any reason not to complain about that as well. I think we were also griping about that, which was a report that I think Fogger had made
And
about
that
that.
fire too that went on in that particular area, that they were burning brush, didn't tell the lady, and she was worried about her house.
Yeah. I think the GMAC specific complaint, if I remember correctly, was that in theory they solicit our input on these things, and in reality they do so in a way that means we can't possibly give anything useful to them. And I think by law they might be required to, but I can't remember exactly that. But there was the sort of expose about how they handle the input that they do get from community. I don't remember if that was also supposed to be part of that letter.
No.
Okay, and then, yeah, I do seem to remember something about working on interacting more with them and seeing how we can assist in our capacity on the evaluation of these THPs, or to be able to, like you said, Henry, give our input. Yeah. So, okay, I'll review those minutes, Mary, and I can gain access to them. I made a note here to myself, so.
I think it was August or September. I don't remember. I think it was put off in September and October. So it had to have been the August meeting.
Okay. Great. So under 7, I recall we were going to revisit something, but that got moved on further, right? So we don't really have any permit review assignments tonight, and maybe not even for December, to my knowledge.
It depends on whether Mrs. Meyer's property gets all of the permits, etc. Kevin said that it was, they hadn't visited it and she wasn't ready, and the county hadn't done it or something.
Let me go ahead and give you an update on it.
Okay.
What happened was that the planner that was reviewing Heather Meyer's CDP left the county. And in doing so, her CDP application, along with many others, were kind of left in a pile. So I was contacted by the new planner. I think his name's Steve Switzer, with the county. So he contacted me. He doesn't see any problems with her CDP, but he's going to review that with her, and we'll have that on our December agenda. And it shouldn't create any problems for their review process and submittal to the Planning Commission.
Okay.
So yeah, Mary, if you could add that to the December 1st meeting and notify Miss Meyer, that would be awesome.
I will do so. Thank you.
And Melissa and I will go visit the site with her.
Okay, so that'll be on December also. Okay. Good. Mary, council member comments? Any comments from the council members before we go to Administrative Secretary Milward's report?
Yes, I have one real quick one. November 26th, put it on your calendar. We got a preliminary approval from Caltrans for the encroachment permit. So it looks like the Lions Lighted Truck Parade will happen on Saturday, November 26th at 6 p.m.
All right.
And anybody's welcome to enter any vehicle they want.
Lighted Truck Parade is coming back. Oh, wow.
I think we have a little red wagon.
Oh, nice.
Instead of Martin holding a headlamp.
There were
There you go. Perfect.
past years, Don, where we had bicycles too, I remember.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So,
So anyway, that's good. It's a great community event when it happens. It gets the community really coming together. Everybody's crowded in the downtown and it's a good feeling.
I don't
And
know
Robert, I need to follow up with you regarding the hotel.
Okay, let's do that.
And I don't think that the Seroptimists will be doing the hot chocolate and the hot coffee this year.
Okay.
I apologize for that, but we didn't know that it was going on,
Sure.
and so we don't have really time to put it together, but that's always a fun thing to do.
I'll pass it on to the Lions. Thank you, Mary.
There were some other things associated with that. There was a lighted Christmas tree and all that kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
And a bit of a
Well,
dance too.
At least it's making a comeback, and that's great, Kevin, that you guys are spearheading that.
You said that, did you say that was which day was that?
Saturday, November 26th, right?
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the 26th.
6 p.m.
I'm gonna put that on my calendar.
And anybody who wants to enter, they can let the Lions know, but the staging will take place at Bedrock.
Fantastic.
how did they manage traffic during this event? I'm curious.
Basically what happens is the fire chief takes the lead. We make a left turn out of Bedrock and just drive down the street, and everybody disbands at the hotel. So they usually have some of their units at some of the major intersections, so people don't crash the party basically, but the northbound traffic is still allowed to head north, and the only slowdown is just heading south for that brief half-hour parade.
It's a fun
So
event.
northbound traffic effectively gets to be part of the parade.
Absolutely. Yeah, Don, we do require people to wave as they drive through town.
Okay.
Okay, thanks for that, Kevin.
What
Mary?
happens if it rains?
We cancel, unfortunately, because the fire chief is real concerned about public safety. So we really don't want vehicles and pedestrians, everything traveling down wet, slippery roads.
You don't postpone it, you just can't.
We just cancel it because a lot of people, they start getting into their own holiday events. So yeah, it's kind of almost basically a one and done.
One-shot deal.
Yeah.
It had to be canceled in the past before.
Well, and especially because we have to apply for an encroachment permit through Caltrans.
Oh, okay,
So they only approve one day.
makes sense.
Okay, Mary, do you want to give your report?
Yes, I worked 15.48 hours in October. Materials were $2.32 for a total of $273.29. It was a very light month, like last month. In fact, last month was less. It was 14.98 or something. So I guess I worked about a half an hour more this month than I did last month.
Okay, I'll get that on over to the county for you, okay?
Thank you.
Sure
And I'm
enough.
sorry it arrived so late today. I've been up to
Oh.
my ears in getting 2 books out to a
That's
publisher.
That's okay. I'll take care of it. Okay, so would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, anybody like to second that?
I'll second
Second.
that.
Okay, so Don seconds that. Let's do a quick voice vote. Melissa,
Aye.
Henry,
Aye.
Dan. You already adjourned. Dan,
Aye.
hi. Kevin,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
and Robert. Aye. Okay, thanks everybody for attending.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Good to be back.
Good night, everybody.
Good to be back. Yeah, good to see you back, Henry.
Good to see you, Henry.
Okay, we'll
Yeah.
keep it going here. See you guys in December.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye-bye.
wonderful
All
month.
right.
All right. See you soon.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we don't see you beforehand.